And of course, the facts of fixing the macro economy of the country, the president has done fantastically well. Look at the dollar. It has stabilized from high up of 167 when he took over, down to...
It was 129 when he took off.
It's now 129.
129. Yes, 129 when he took off, not 160. You just said facts.
It has spiraled.
You just said we have to speak facts.
Back and it has come. It is at 129.
President Ruto came to power when the dollar was 129.
The inflation, I'm a labor leader and I study data and facts also. The inflation was at 9% when it took over. It has now stabilized at 2.something%. The economic growth is at least 5%, which is commendable with the current complicated economic situation in the world. And if we look at the performance, those are data. And Kenya is rated as one of the fast-growing economies globally. We are not going to run away from data. That's a fact. And
all right.
When the president was elected on his manifesto...
Before you proceed, we'll talk about the manifesto. What he committed... At the best interest of time, just hang on, because you said about the numbers and inflation.
It is also important you give me reasonable free time. The way you get...
He's fact-checking you. He's fact-checking you.
So that we look at the scientific numbers. If inflation is down...
You are my fellow panelist.
Yeah.
And you're the head of...
All right. So I'll equally hold him to account.
Yes. Yes. He holds me to my account.
Yeah. And so inflation is down. But how has that then translated into Kenyans able to afford food? For example, between the months of November, December 2024, maize flour 2 kg increased by 7%, fortified maize flour 5.8%, maize flour loose 1 kg 1.8%, tomatoes 1 kg 1.8%, maize grain loose 1.5%, sugar 0.9%, 1 kg beans 1 kg 0.9%, sukuma wiki 0.7%. If inflation is down then, and this is the statistics from the Kenyan National Bureau of Statistics,
you're asking
how are then Kenyans unable to can I just ask you the question, how are then Kenyans unable to afford basic things, putting food on the table, if really this then matters to them and the value of the shilling in their pocket?
You're asking a question that is so obvious. When inflation is down, then it means it's possible to afford. There is stability in the economy, and Kenyans can procure goods and services with no much challenges.
But the data says otherwise.
Remember at 9%, what the previous administration was doing, subsidizing the purchase of flour.
It's not the question of comparison, Senator Honorable Sosion.
Yes.
I'm asking you.
It is good to compare. You see the problem.
Based on what you said is why I'm holding you to account. I'm holding you to account, Honorable Sosion. Let's have some order, because I ask you the question, I give you the time to respond, and within the given time, and within the given time, so that we also embark on the other activities that we have of the show. The argument that you said is that inflation is down. Yes, I take your point, but I have to hold you to account, because maize flour, fortified maize flour loose, tomatoes, maize flour grain, sugar, beans, cabbages, onions, sukuma wiki are all on the rise. If then inflation is down, why is this on the rise, and how will Kenyans afford these very basic commodities that they need in their households every day?
It doesn't mean the prices of goods and commodities remain 100% static. There is fluctuation, but those fluctuations are within a range that is manageable in terms of pure statistics. And if you interrogate the production and supply and availability, it speaks to 2% very consistently. That is, if you were to check. Those are facts. And let me state very clearly, the fixing of the macroeconomic aspect of the economy to stabilize is not a switch on and switch off event. It is a process that involves a lot of calibration of policies and issues, which the president has ably done. We've gotten the country out of the debt distress. And we're able to do many things.
And you still borrowed more?
Yes. Borrowing is part of the activities of...
Why then...
You see,
can
I... Borrowing is part of the game.
Okay.
It's part of the eating.
Right.
No.
Why did the government...
That's where the cake is eaten.
Of course, you borrow to bridge the deficit of the budget. Look at the budget is at 3.9 trillion.
The point is
and what can be raised from the economy is 2.4 trillion. Where will you bridge the other deficit to finance the budget?
Let me put it this way.
So borrow prudently, but borrow within procedure.
To
finance the deficit so that services are delivered. Okay. That is an economic fact.
Why then did you borrow? Why did you borrow more than the administration that you had castigated for embarking on a begging bowl culture?
The problem...
Not generalization, it's a question. You campaign on a platform that you will borrow less than the other government. You criticize the Kenyatta administration of borrowing more.
If you look at Kenyatta administration, Moi left the country with domestic debts of 650 billion. Kibaki borrowed and left the country with a debt of 1.7 trillion at that time. Uhuru Kenyatta in 10 years borrowed up to close to 10 trillion.
And you borrowed more than Uhuru in your first financial year.
First financial year. It could not be accounted.
And you borrowed
first financial year.
It could not be accounted.
And why did you borrow more than Kenyatta in your first financial year?
And I've said here, the country has been extricated from debt distress.
Absolutely not. Absolutely.
One final question.
We are defaulting.
On you again.
We are already defaulting.
However much you look for a lens to look for economic mistakes.
I know. It's not going to understand where we are.
However much you look for a lens to look for economic mistakes, you are not going to find...
I'm asking you then again.
The fact is...
Why did you borrow more than Kenyatta in your first financial year?
Let me finish my other statement rather than interrogating...
I expect you to answer my question because you are embarking on lovely diversions. Why did you borrow more than Kenyatta did in your first financial year?
How was the economy operating?
Why did you borrow is the question.
The witness has no answer.
You go and get the answer from the treasury. I'm not here to speak on behalf of the treasury.
Well, I'll give you the statistics. All right. Let me just give you the statistics. Okay, allow me then to give you the statistics, because in your first financial year, the first 9 months of 2023-24, external debt borrowing 506.9 billion, domestic debt borrowing 603 billion. Similar period 2022-23, when the Kenyatta administration left power, external borrowing 235.4 billion Kenya shillings, domestic borrowing 396.3 billion Kenya shillings. This is what the control of budget says. Why did you borrow more than the Kenyatta administration in your first financial year?
Now, when the president took over the economy, there were huge debts and huge gaps. And if borrowing was executed to meet gaps in the budget and is done properly and within law, then it is proper.
So you lied to the Kenyan people, pledging that and borrowing. That
is part of the wider calibration of the macroeconomic aspect of the economy to stabilize the economy, which has been achieved. Now, the next that will fall in place, Ayub, because I also want you to...
It's an accountability. You have made your point.
Yes, thank you. Yes. I want to help my leader, Sosion, and my brother, because I think I don't want them to feel that I'm so evil intent that I could even go to hell as I live here. Let me explain. Please go and tell this president, I personally thank him. He has agreed for all the functions to be devolved. That's a win. But then tell him the money has to follow the functions according to what the Constitution expects.
Go and tell Matiang'i.
No, he's not president. Matiang'i is not president. Matiang'i is not the president.
Let us now separate.
Can I give you a lick?
Matiang'i is not the president.
Allow me to give you a hint. Okay.
Let us now be factual.
On a positive note. I'll give you a hint. There's a soundbite I want to hold Honorable Onyonka to account on Dr. Fred Matiang'i.
Yes.
So it's coming, it's ready. So allow him to finish his submissions. I'll go.
And then you can hold me to account.
I'll hold him to account.
Thank you.
On the very same grounds.
The same thing.
Less worries.
About to tell the president.
Yes.
Let him go and tell Matiang'i.
No, right. Matiang'i is not the president.
Now separate this.
No,
it's not. He has declared.
Matiang'i is not the. He's not the president.
Gentlemen, it's not a ping pong.
We are wasting time.
Thank you.
I have something ready.
He's really. Honorable Sosion is behaving like a bad student in class. Honorable Sosion, I'm giving you credit.
No, you're
I'm actually
credit.
I'm saying this is finally you guys have done something that we can debate and say, Ayub, this is really a legacy thing for the president.
All right.
Now, number two, Honorable Sosion, when we raise these issues, it has nothing to do with dismissing the government. When we actually come up,
you raise it.
no, we've been so wonderful. You've never hear. No,
very disrespectful.
I am telling you that. Please listen.
Mongering.
It's not. You see now he's calling me a tribalist.
Can he finish his point?
He's calling me a tribalist. And yet his friend, who's the president, employed 80 of his members of his community as permanent secretaries. You see, Ayub, we are talking about crazy things here. We are not telling you anything that Kenyans don't know. When we say, please, Honorable Sosion, just see, the president listens to you. He does. Tell him to stop abducting these kids. You don't need anything more.
Ask Matiang'i.
Matiang'i is not the president.
How many were killed in
He's not the president.
Uyala.
If you want to raise,
ask him.
he is not the president. What I'm saying, go if you have that. By the way, you can hold up. You can hold a private prosecution, and you can have my brother Harvey to prosecute. No. What I am saying, you were in the same government, all of you. You were in that government. So blame yourselves for all the things you've done. My point number two is this. I want to mention this. Kenya has no opposition. He has no opposition. The opposition has joined. What, me?
You are in opposition. You are opposing the government.
And maybe me and Nelson Avi are remaining. You've bought everybody. You put them in the box. They can't even raise simple issues about our governance structure. We are talking about issues about our country that are legitimate and they are concerned. Now you see, they say, boss, let me tell you, if that group I was with yesterday, they go and agree amongst themselves, let me tell you, you will go home as one-term presidency.
All right.
If the president does these things we are raising and he changes direction, we will say, let him govern. We've said that so many times.